This is Michael Mixer. You're now listening to the MMBDO podcast where I talk about music, movies, news, and business. I also talk about the latest in rap, hip hop, jazz, electronic, and soul music. I'm glad you're listening to this podcast. Stick around to hear more from the MMBDO podcast. Today I am going to be talking about the album Peter Malik Group featuring Norah Jones, New York City. The Peter Malik Group featuring Norah Jones' New York City album is a romantic-themed jazz album with a calm, tranquil instrumentation, and a chilling sound. The tranquil, cold, chilling sound fits Norah Jones appropriately since she is known for her calm, soft jazz songs. However, her vocals are a bit throaty and dry at times on this album, and in the songs on this album as well, but the calming instrumentation and production fit in coherently with the subject matter of the album. In a nutshell, this whole entire album is basically standard soft jazz pop with minor touches of blues and easy listening. Much of this album is very New York City themed, hence the album title. The 2003 album Peter Malik Group featuring Norah Jones New York City was basically a Norah Jones album. Despite being labeled as a Norah Jones album, much of her fan base does not consider this album to be a Norah Jones album. But this album is actually a Norah Jones album, which is technically her sophomore album, as this album predates Feels Like Home. This could be attributed to the fact that Norah Jones did not write any of the songs but sang instead. Peter Malik wrote the songs Norah Jones sings on as he was in charge of two-thirds of the songwriting of the album. Fans probably felt alienated by the fact that Norah Jones did not write any of the songs, nor did she contribute to any of the songwriting. Norah Jones sang about how she fell in love with New York City and got swept off her feet by the busy city life in the titular track New York City. Her singing fits in coherently with the flow and subject matter of the song. Norah Jones sang from an action junkie's perspective who has experienced the fast New York City life. She immersed herself into this song in a spectacular way. The song also explains that love is not always meant to be, or love won't always survive. Peter Malik wrote this song based on the love and fixation he had for New York City ever since he was 8 years old, hence the New York City theme. His fixation on New York City really shines here. The song is not as jazzy as many people would think or believe, as the song is driven by electric guitar. Luckily, the piano compensates for the lack of jazziness in this song, but the song is not straight up jazz as many people would think or believe. Nora can't remember what she planned tomorrow. When she looked in the mirror, tracing lines with a pencil, she remembers what came before. She wanted to think that there was endless love. That is, until she saw the dim light in her lover's eyes. In the dead of the night, she found out sometimes there is love that won't survive. Laura kept all her promises locked up in a box behind her closet door. She pulled down the blinds and listened to the thunder with no way out from the family store. Everyone all told her things could get better when you say goodbye. Laura will lay awake one more night, caught in a vision she wants to deny. She disregarded a note taped to her door. The note talked about no regrets as it slipped from her hand to the scuffed tile floor. Nora rode the train for hours on end and watched the people pass her by. It could be that it has no end, just an action junkie's lullaby. Nora, along with everyone else, was full of the stuff that every dream rested on as if it floated lumpy on a pillow sky, being caught up in the whole illusion that dreams never pass us by. They came to a tattooed conclusion that was the big one knocking at the door. What started as a mass delusion would take her far from the places she adores. Nora sang about the strange signals she received whenever she felt like leaving her man, even though she belongs to him on the song Strange Transmissions. Nora Jones' vocals sound a bit dry on this song. Luckily, she manages to sing gracefully throughout the song. Nora believes everything he says. They'll stay drawn through the ebb, lost in the flower. She took it to the bottom one more time. She could only fight it for the longest while, but with the truth out, she belongs to him. Nora could trip, and she wants him to know every time she thinks of leaving him she receives strange transmissions. The song Deceptively Yours was about how a man deceived Nora when he found another lover, leaving Nora to be deceptively his. This leads Nora to decline to a state of insanity and kill her man. This is another guitar-driven song on the album with that gritty blues song. This is some contentious rambling incantations from Nora Jones herself. Nora couldn't make a change. Nora might have known he found another lover. She sat at home all night, basking in the lonely pale of her bedstand light. Nora saw her man with jealous eyes through a tear in the curtain in a cheap motel. He made the call to consciously lie to her. That is why Nora is deceptively his. She saw a black cloud and didn't hear a sound, only the shell on the ground. Suddenly there was a terrifying scream somewhere in the thick night air. Nora put the pedal down as the sirens wailed. She sat alone and prayed, not knowing what was to come. She tried not to believe the scene that she could see. It felt like days passed by. Before she turned away, she felt a dizzy sway and the gun in her hand. Eventually Nora found herself in court as she stood before the judge. The judge cleared his throat to say, "I will give you no bail." Shackled with chains or love, Nora knew that she bought her own coffin nails as she dug her own grave. Nora can hear his sweet voice calling out her name as she stares from a 6-foot cell. And beyond, she heard the words, "Deceptively yours." In the cover of Magic Sam, All Your Love, Call All Your Love, Nora Jones sang about how she needed to have all her man's love back in the most romantic way possible. Nora showed her vulnerability as she showed off her vulnerable side in the fragile, tender jazz pop song Heart of Mine. Nora sang about the things her man was not obligated to do in the song Things You Don't Have to Do. Nora walked down the diamond-studded concrete canyon. Nobody looked her in the eye. She tried to fly to the moon only to make it to the sky. She was looking for a friend, but she couldn't find a friend. Searching for a clear connection without a digital send. Ain't it just scary sometimes that to find the lies that you know to be true? Nora will find her man smiling about the things he doesn't have to do. Bill doesn't have to call Nora anymore. She's heard he found religion and a big-haired blonde apprentice beautician. And all the words and gesticulations that came before don't seem to mean a thing anymore. He can he can feel fine to drop a dime if he's ever hanging by a string. Nora hears voices crying out, echoes on the boulevard, contentious rambling incantations of some senile bard. There's too much going on around here to keep her head from spinning, and with this constant acceleration blurs any ties to the beginning. This has been my review of Peter Mount Group featuring Nora Jones, New York City, on the MMBDO podcast. If you like this, please subscribe to the podcast.